Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Life on Board AmyJo.
Didn't realise it was recording then, but still.
Shall I start again?
No, let's carry on.
See, this is how out of practice we are. I go into hospital for a month and then we lose it all, don't we?
Haven't got a clue what we're doing. Carry on.
No, basically folks, I've been putting this vlog off for some time now because I want to thank people, and I've deliberated for weeks on what I was going to say and what I was going to do. And quite frankly, the amount of support and prayers and blessings that we've had from all of you has been overwhelming. I just don't have the words to thank you enough. It's your support has really helped me, as I've said before in the previous vlog. I don't think I could have got through it if it wasn't for you guys, with your comments and your support and your prayers, etc, etc. So all I can really say is God bless you and thank you. It's meant a lot. It means an awful lot to know that somebody over the other side of the world who's never met me, who's only ever seen me on a TV screen, has the power to send their prayers to me
It makes such an impact.
And makes such an impact.
It's
It's astounding. It's blown both of us away. It really has.
And the cards that
we've received, and it's just.
Although one when you got home from a father, we thought, what vicar knows us?
Yeah.
That was Ian's dad.
It was Ian's dad. Yeah. I don't know if you recall Ian on Narrowboat Tales. His father was ill a short while ago, and Ian, while he was down there, spoke to him about us, and bless him, his father sent us a card, and it was a lovely card. So if you're watching this, Ian's dad, thank you so much. That really did mean a lot to both of us. So, but just to wrap this part up, just
ignore
and they're still coming through, but
just ignore
the pings. A big thank you, and I don't know what else to say. I'm just blown away with your love and blessings. So thank you.
Yeah.
So I think, Chris, you wanted to just say a little bit about your side of it. I mean, the last vlog I poured my heart out and told of my experience. I think Chris would like to just say a little bit about hers.
It was a bit different because, as Steve said, I called the doctor out. He came out, took one look at him and just said, you know what I'm going to tell you. He's got to go to hospital. So off he went, and I thought, the one thing Steve will want is his phone and his charger. But how he was going to use them, I had no idea. But I made sure I'd sent him off with those, which was the best thing I could have done, really, because when he was well enough, obviously, he could use them. But that was a Tuesday. And Wednesday, about 10 o'clock, I thought, I don't even know where Steve is. I knew he was in hospital. I didn't know which ward. So I thought, let's phone up. So I phoned up and I said, I'm just looking for sort of Steve's prior to see where he is. And when they told me he was in ICU, I was a bit gobsmacked because I wasn't expecting him to be there for a start. I was just expecting him to go into a normal ward. So once that was done, I spoke to the nurses and she said, don't worry, the doctors will ring you every single afternoon.
And they did.
And without fail, they phoned. Sort of weekends. One weekend I had 2 phone calls from the doctors because of the handover. They didn't know if I'd had the phone call in the afternoon, so they phoned again sort of about 6 o'clock in the evening. Some days it was good, other days it was he's still on the critical list, which means his life was sort of just hanging in the balance, which was very frightening.
Now what's astounding was they didn't tell me that.
Well,
they just said I was very unwell. So.
Yeah, and sometimes I'd phone and they didn't answer the phone, and I thought that's fine because they're really busy. Other times I'd phone and the nurse would say, oh, I'll just go and find out, come back to me and say, I can't go in the room. The doctor's there, the nurse is there. I'm not allowed to interrupt or anything. Can you phone back later? So I thought, fair enough, the doctor's there, it's just normal checks. And then got the phone call to say that he was now possibly diabetic, which we weren't expecting, and all the steroids and the antibiotics that he was pumped full of. But I couldn't see him, so it was still quite sort of, it was unreal. It wasn't as if it was happening to us.
No, it's like watching a TV programme like Holy City, wasn't it? Even for me.
It was really strange, but hey ho, I did get the phone calls every day without fail, and then they'd say, right, we're thinking of moving him down, he's doing really well. So then he was moved down to the surge unit or something. Yeah, surge unit. So that was also good. And then finally onto the ward where we could rest and know that the end was in sight, he was going to come home. And at that point I thought he needed pyjamas or jogging bottoms, something that could bring a little bit of normality. So the first time I took things in, they said, yeah, you can bring them in, no problem, just drop them off at the door. So that's what I did the first time. And then I took something else because he'd lost so much weight. The clothes I took him in were too big, so I had to do another trip back to Asda and replace them. And the next time I took clothes in, the nurse said, have you got time to hang on? So I said, yeah, why? I'll go and see if I can get him. And then Steve appeared on a commode.
Yeah, if you watched the previous vlog, I explained about that.
Yeah, so that was brilliant. It was good for me and obviously good for Steve, but he did tell the nurse, I'll only go if she's not crying. Which I didn't. I did hold it together. Yeah. And then the next time I took his CPAP machine in for them to wire up, didn't I? And again, the nurse said, hold on, I'll go and get him. And this time he actually walked from the ward to the door. Obviously we were social distance, about sort of 6 feet apart, weren't we? I was one side of the door and he was the other and that. But it was only for 5-10 minutes, but that was enough. So that was brilliant on all the nurses' sort of part, really, because they didn't have to do it.
I can't fault the nurses at all.
But
they were
they did.
Amazing.
But coming back to sort of me, after Steve was admitted, I went for a test for a peace of mind to think, oh, I've escaped this, because I didn't have symptoms. And I came back positive. Well, that was really sort of threw me sideways because I didn't know what to do. I knew I had to self-isolate and I knew that I couldn't mix with anybody. Fortunately, my daughter Joanne said, if you start getting symptoms, Mum, I'll just drop everything and come and stay with you. So I knew I'd got her, that she would just drop everything. And also Ian and Gary, at first they started messaging me every single day, sort of 2-3 times a day, are you okay, do you need anything? And then it progressed to phone calls, which was better because it's easier to speak than it is to message and write. And then the weather improved, so we could actually sit out in the cratch area of the boats and have cups of tea, although we'd made them ourselves. We were still sort of socially distanced apart to be able to talk to each other. So I'd have face-to-face contact with other people, although on my own distance. On my own boat. And Ian and Gary, it was Ian and Gary. Yeah. When they went shopping, they'd get my little bits of shopping, and Ian would come back the first week with a muffin, and then the next week he bought me flowers, which was really sweet. Yeah. And he said, I'm taking another lady flowers. What will her husband think?
I think it made his day that he could actually do that and know that I wouldn't mind.
So they were absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I was anxious. And I did have a few symptoms, but I took paracetamol every 4 hours because I thought, I can't get ill. I can't end up where Steve is.
I don't think I would have made it.
I've got to fight this. And I was still allowed to take the dog out for a walk, which I think helped me because I was all masked up and anything I touched outside the boat, I anti-backed afterwards. the marina managers knew that, so they were perfectly okay with me doing that. They just said, please go out when it's quiet and try not to interact with too many people, which is what I did. Yeah. So from my side it was scary, especially when I got it, but then when I was better, I then sort of went back to work for a couple of days, I think.
You did?
And then the schools reopened, that was it, on I think the 8th of March or something. The schools reopened, so I was back into school on a Tuesday with all the children, gets a phone call, Steve's coming home. So I said to my boss at work, sorry, I'm being off with Steve. So then I've just stayed off with Steve ever since. I went back for 2 days just before we broke up for Easter.
Just before we came home, actually.
So now I'm off again for 2 weeks, which gives us a good time just to check that Steve's going to be okay for when I do go back to work.
And to be fair, I needed Chris at home because, as you saw, if you've seen the previous video, you'll know, I just couldn't do anything. It was all I could do was to walk from one end of the boat to the other. I was that weak.
Bathing him, dressing him.
Yeah, she was bathing me. It was like having a child that couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was.
She even had to help me get dressed, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, put his socks on.
Yeah, I made the most of it, mind.
But we can laugh and sort of smile about it now, which is good. But at the time, it was frightening and scary.
Yeah, but I loved you to bits for it. So, once again, guys, we really do appreciate your help and support. And I'm going to keep saying it. I just don't know how to thank you enough. But there are one more thank yous that I need to finish before we put this COVID thing to bed. And that is, I've got to thank Gary and Ian. Those two guys have been stalwarts while I was in hospital. I don't think Chris or myself actually would have coped if it wasn't for their kindness and their determination. It's got to be said, determination to help us. I'm going to put a little clip on afterwards of the two guys taking AmyJo across to the fueling arm, just to top her up with diesel, and they'd spoken about it for days and they were absolutely petrified of damaging AmyJo, but they needn't have worried. They did it perfectly, as you'll see in the video. And there's also a little clip of them leaving the marina, because those of you that follow them now will know that today, which is Thursday the 8th of I've lost track, 8th of April. They actually left the marina for good. They're out on the cut now, where they should be, and where we will be soon. And I just want to personally thank Ian and Gary for what they did.
Cooking Sunday dinners.
Cooking Sunday dinners. I mean, what those guys did, that they was way over what they had, what they should have done. But it made my mental state, knowing that Chris was being cared for, it made it so much easier while I was in hospital. So, Gary, Ian, to you both, God bless you, gents.
Yeah. And to our girls, Amy
and to the two girls, Amy and Joanne, because they had to put up with us for 3 weeks in the house. Yeah. Because I wasn't allowed to come to the boat with the oxygen supply, so we had to stay with them at the house. Yeah. And Amy gave up her bedroom and all sorts, and it was 6 of us in a 3-bedroom bungalow.
And 2 dogs.
And 2 dogs.
And 2 guinea
pigs. And it wasn't the quietest of houses, let's put it that way. But I love being back with them again. It was beautiful, but we did feel as though we were imposing a little bit. But to Amy and Joanne, thank you very much, girls. And we couldn't have done it without you. Yeah. And for their boyfriends, Danny and Matt, I mean, bless them, they put up with us while we were there. So thank you, the 4 of you. And that's that. So enough waffling. Let's get on with some videos of boats moving, shall we?
Yeah.
So thanks again, folks, and I hope you enjoy the vlog, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye for now. that's it, that's Gary leaving and Ian leaving. There's summer cruise. I'm sorry to see them go, but we'll meet again out in the cut someplace, that's for sure. Ian's leading the way. Followed by Gary and Chugabug. And don't forget, Ian will have his live feed camera going, so you'll be able to see where he is at any time. Just at the right time, because it is beginning to get a little bit windy out there. As you can probably hear. Sound of boat horns, letting everybody know that they're going through the entrance to the marina, and saying their farewells in a boater's way. As you can hear, the other boaters are returning their there's Gary. So the question is, turning left or right? Turning right. Two very dear friends to me departing the marina for their summer cruise. Farewell chaps, safe cruising, and we'll see you soon. Final bark from Chippendale. We're gone.